Claire.
Hey, how are you doing, Mother Owl?
I'm doing very well. Would you rather me call you Claire or the Oily Witch?
That's a very interesting question because I would have previously said the oily witch, but these days I'm being more Claire.
See, and I'm the other way around. Spirit has guided me. I'm to go by only Mother Owl.
Interesting. Well, I
And
think yeah, sorry, I interrupted you.
no, go. That's fine.
I was going to say, for me, I've never used my given name. Like, ever since I was a child, I always had nicknames, and very few people knew what my real name was. And then when I was teaching witchcraft, and in recent discussions I've had with people, and I'm talking about all of the skills, which speaks to our conversation today, that are regarded as kind of, scary and basically heresy, etc., are clairaudience, clairalliance, clairgustance, clairvoyance. And then somebody said, but your name's Claire, you're all of those things. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I'm like, maybe I do want to be Claire. So I'm kind of like Claire at the moment.
There
Long-winded
you
answer.
go. There you go. Well, I had a nickname growing up. My nickname was Sam. And through some shamanic work that was being done, it became clear why my parents called me Sam. They never knew. My mom had no idea why, so I got clarification on that. It was really cool. But yeah, I was nicknamed Sam for whatever reason. She never knew. It was only through, as I said, some shamanic work that was being done with me that I got the clarification on that.
And what was it? Why?
So, so as a shaman, working with the indigenous people, North American Native Indians, we do something. I don't know if you're familiar with Kopo. It's a compassionate depossession. So a friend of mine had done the training and needed a handful of case studies. So of course she did one on me. As it turned out, there was a female entity within me, a young girl who had been abused sexually and in other manners, and her name was Samantha.
Oh,
Yeah, it had been there for I don't know how many lifetimes, but for quite some time, and didn't want to leave. But obviously, we were compassionately trying to get her to move forward, and she did. But it came to me. I went, oh my God, that's why mom called me Sam, and she never even knew. Because I always asked my parents, why did you call me Sam? Mom would say, I don't know why. Sambo. Then so it was Sambo, and that. But those types of things. Come on, we're gonna go do this. We're gonna do it when I was a little girl, right? Never knew. Mom never
and
could tell me, and there it was, and I went, aha, there it is.
that, and that's yeah, and that's how I feel like I've just had this. That's my eureka moment that just happened recently because my mum was like, "I knew you were Claire from the minute I got pregnant." And obviously, back in those days, you couldn't tell what sex the baby was. And she was like, "I knew you were going to be Claire, and Claire means light, and I'm a light worker." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So it kind of all feeds in. Yeah, yeah, which is perfect for what we're talking about. It's the scope of the imagination, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I found out originally um, through a channeler I used to go to for about 12 years until he actually retired. And he leaves his body, spirit comes in, and you talk directly to spirit, which I have a hard time replacing sometimes. It's when I do other types of readings, it's beautiful. I do my own channeling, but of course, as you know, we don't always get our own messages. We sometimes have to reach outside of ourselves to actually get the nitty gritty that we want. So, but anyways, so okay, so let's talk a little bit about um, using the imagination wisely. Um, there can be so many determinations with that because using the imagination incorporates using the mind, right? So of course we have to always be very, very cognizant of what these things are that we think about, that we do. And I'll talk a little bit about that after the experience I actually wrote about on the platform called The Karma We Sow. So it's been interesting, and again it came back to this, and I brought it forward again for a second time.
So
So
tell me about this.
I'll condense it to the best of my ability. So about a decade ago, I connected through meditation with a grandfather 4 generations back on the maternal side, and and then again, speaking with my channeler, I asked him. He said, "Do not connect with him when you have your children around. He hates children. He just did not like children." So I said, "Fine." So that gives you a little bit of an idea of the type of man that he was. It's not that he was a bad man, but he was a very, kind of, I think, almost judgmental was what I was getting. Um, anyway, so back in X number of lifetimes ago, I apparently had either taken his land, sold his land, whatever it was, I had removed it from him. He had a spiritual block on me for up until this lifetime, at which time he said he was very proud of who I'd become, and that he was releasing me from this blockage, and basically was letting me know I needed to kind of do a rebirth, whatever. So, of course, I knew many people that had many modalities to do the rebirth. It didn't resonate with me until I got into the medicine work, and everything fell into place, right? Anyway, so I do all the work. I've gone forward, and da 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 da. I served karma, through doing this work and removing everything and him giving me, whatever. So I had actually done some time doing my karma as well, in terms of that type of thing. So here's the funny thing. Not funny at all. Last June, as you and I had spoke about, the house that I was leasing, they came to me within a year and a half and had said, "Okay, we're selling." And I was like, "What? Well, really?" This has already happened like 3 times previously, and I'm going, "I can't keep this. Is like you're talking $8,000-10,000 a move. Like it's just getting brutal." So, anyways, I was like, "Okay, so fine. What am I gonna do?" So they're gonna sell the house. It is what it is. So I thought, okay, fine. So packed all my things, got everything together, had a place lined up, had the truck, the people, had everything ready to go. I had to move on the Monday. The Friday morning, I get a text, from the person that had said that the truck and people would be ready to help, da 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 da, and it fell through. So you're literally talking 2 days prior to having to be out. Everything was packed and ready to go. Anyways, so I was like, okay, I got to deal with this. So I was kind of jaw on the floor going, okay. Doesn't 10 minutes later, I'm not kidding you, 10 minutes later, I get another message from the real estate agent who had, um, oh, can you hear me, Claire?
Yeah, 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 totally. I'm just listening.
Okay, the images were freezing up, so I wanted to make sure that we're still together here. So anyway, so then I get a message literally not even 10 minutes later. The house has fallen through, that they have a family member also who's in crisis. They can't find a place to live. They have nowhere to go. They're going to have to house them. So here I have 2 days to find a place to move into, and I have to move all my stuff out. So, needless to say, it was really a tough weekend. So, I had a friend of mine, I reached out to her and said, okay, if you've ever been able to help me, now is the time. We got everything set up. I reached out. I wasn't going to find a place in 2 days to live. I looked at a few places, like online and whatever. But anyway, so that was it. Took everything to a storage unit, put everything in the storage unit, went and stayed with my son for a short while. And yeah, so there it was. So um, very, very stressful move. Had to do several things in that process where nothing was jiving. That never happens when I have to move. It's just like it goes, no problem. So anyway, so I stayed with family, and as I came to realize through meditation, and I reached out to a friend of mine who does readings, and I said, I really need some insight here. This is brutal. Now I had an idea because I was told, um, I don't know, about the March, give or take, that there would be a transitional space I would have to have between the time I move and the place that I'm going to be moving into. I was like, no, I can't do this. Like, you're telling me I'm going to move twice within like 6 months. Like, I'm not doing this. Like, what are you doing? No! Anyways, so as it turns out, um, and I'm staying with an elderly family member right now. I'm helping out here. for a short time. Everything in me tells me March, and it'll be a place I know I've manifested because it's a place I've always wanted. It's a church or an old schoolhouse converted into a house. So, providing the window is there and I see it when it's open, that it's going to happen. And I think it's going to happen no matter what. I've done that. So, what happened is that I had served my karma, but in this lifetime, knowing what I knew and had found out, it was roiling inside of me. I could not believe that I was a person, especially to a family member, that I could have done something so vile, regardless if they deserved it or they didn't. It's irrelevant, right? That's a justification. It's something that happened. It's something I did. And I guess in this lifetime, I could not wrap my head around this because I'm not that person. Vengeful. It's just not me. Like I send people away with love and hope that whatever's causing issues will rectify in whatever way it needs to be rectified for them, right? So it just shows you again, okay, the thought processes. Because it's kind of imagination. Because I would go back into that space when I meditated and where he was and where I met him and what was going on. So I was literally almost, it seemed like I'd gone back in that time. And I was on the property when I would connect with him. So it goes into that space of really seeing and feeling this into this lifetime and really having a difficult time accepting what I did and moving away from it. And I literally brought karma back in, and there it is, what I've gone through since June. Now I'm ahead of the game again. I'm coming out the other end, thankfully. So things are going well, but that was kind of and it wasn't that it was being handed to me from spirit or from my relative from back then. I brought it forward by this after, and it didn't happen in a week or two. I mean, we're talking, this is over like years. So it wasn't something that manifested itself right away, but I'm not sure to this day. I'm not 100%. Is it something that was just waiting for that opportunity for the karma to be sowed in such a manner that was appropriate to what happened, and that's why it didn't happen until then? That's what I feel has happened. Um, so yeah, I've done my time, and now I've sat with it. I've meditated. I've gone in. I've been able to resolve my own issues with feeling what I felt and realizing that let it go. Quit bringing it forward, right? But again, and it's almost like being into an imaginative space in that meditation, seeing it all and bringing it forward, right? So that's one example for people. Please know that if your time is served, walk away from it. It's a lesson to be learned. It doesn't mean you can never think about it. But I did more than think about it because I just was mortified that I was that person at some point that would do something to a family member. And I don't get that I was like that my whole life, but I think there was what I get is that there was something he did and I finally just went, you know what? Here you go. How do you like me now? And I just did it. So not a good thing.
Mm,
Not a good thing.
that's really interesting. I find that I'm knowing that this lifetime seems to be a lot of, for me and for other people I'm working with, to be a real kind of lifetime of clearing past life trauma and ancestral trauma. And indeed, I'm helping people to establish what their ancestral trauma is because I can read it in their charts when I look at their nessus position. And, you can see and then endows how many generations that goes back, which side, and then work out how they can clear that in this lifetime. And I think it's interesting that you said that for you, you didn't realize it didn't sit well that you'd done something dark. I'm kind of percolating that because my kind of instinct with all of that is kind of like I would, you, with the house situation lining up the way it did, would have been like life was tired of you taking half measures. It was like, right, you know what? You need to manifest your dream house. So get on and do it. I'm going to make you so bloody uncomfortable that there's nothing you can do. Just basically strip it all away so you get what you want. Just the focus is so clear, razor sharp. But this kind of ancestral karmic stuff is so, I just find it interesting because a lot of people like to imagine that they have these lives that are, they were pharaohs in Egypt, or they were this, or they were that, and there will be that element too. But we people look back and think they were always good, and yet if you don't have dark lives, you can't become really empathic because you haven't walked the other side to be able to understand the other side. So you need that experience
Yeah.
be better in this life. And I feel we're in a war. So I think that we're kind of like a war of light. And so
100%.
we need all of it to make sense of it all. And to understand, like you're saying, you're an inherently good person in this life. And it's like, but part of you recognizes you were dark. And in this lifetime, there are people being really dark that were in previous lives really light. And it's just, somebody always has to play the bad guy. So somebody can basically play the good guy. It's just how it works.
No, well, exactly, and as you said, I believe at this point in time, and I know some of the messages again through my guidances, are just that. I'm at that point where I deserve to be in the place that I really want to be in. I've gotten to that spot, and in order to do the work that I do as well, I need. There's things that I want, and there's things that I need. So, yeah, so it's a little bit of both. But it was so funny. I said in the beginning, I think part of this karmic thing was I was looking at this grandfather from the past lives, and it's like, well, the last 2 or 3 lives. And I'm thinking, you waited 2 or 3 lives. Oh my goodness, because I know I've been a healer in every lifetime, but I thought, wow, you really must have been upset with me because it didn't just come into the next life.
Yeah, well, and I think that basically when that happens, because it can happen, I had someone the other day that had 6 generations, 6 times they tried to clear this karma between them. And I think, and I've got a situation in my personal life that, it's been 16 lifetimes. And it's like, and I think it's because somebody it's pre-agreed and then somebody goes, do you know what? I can't go through with this, or I don't want to do that actually. This is too difficult. And this lifetime you went, do you know what? I can do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. The only problem is I brought it back, but that's okay. It was interesting because most people don't realize, including me, it was a lesson for me. I really didn't think. I thought I always would. Most people think karma served, time served. Okay, you're done. No, you can actually serve it more than once, and you personally can bring it back yourself because I did.
Wow.
Again, it's all about, and I literally, it's like imagination because it's that meditation. And like I said, I went into that place and it was like I could see where you go from the water up through the forest and by this house. And I really think that I was being shown the actual place that it had happened at. So again, if you can't go into that meditative space and be able to see and understand, right? So you want to use it wisely because when you come back, if you continue to ponder on something as such, it's not a good thing.
Or it was such a big one that it couldn't be done and it needed to be done, because I think that in our war of the light, the whole intention of clearing all of these karmic past lives is to become more light and less dense. And
Yep.
when we have all the kind of these karmic kind of, I see them hanging off the sacral chakra like weights, like holding us back. It's like we're trying to cut those, and people are going around cord cutting all over the place, and the cords won't drop properly because they're not totally going through it again. It's like every time you want to process it, you have to work like you did. You have to walk back into the middle of it just to know exactly what you're processing. It's like
Yeah.
I agree with you there. You have to kind of relive it to kind of get it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. And I mean, there were other things happen. I'm not going to not waste the time, but like I said, it can be very intricate. It's one of those things where I also had meditations. I was Native Indian in a previous life, an Ojibwe. So I have about 20 ancestors that are with me, off and on. And I've gone into meditative spaces and they've all been there and we've done ceremonial dances. And, that one, there was a meditation where actually there were different things going on through the course of this ceremonial fire. And in the end, the chief and healer, or chief and elder, actually drew lines on my face, and I had to find out what they were because I wasn't sure. And it was spiritual protection. And through that time, I actually saw that grandfather offside. And when he did that, I looked over and he was gone. So it was
Wow.
very interesting, the stuff that's played out through this whole
And this is all in
scenario.
here.
Yeah,
This is all coming from the imagination.
yeah. So
This is,
that's, and again, that's something that I think that we all need to be cognizant of, is, and use it wisely. You know, always remember when you're going into that space, whether it be to manifest, whether it be being mindful, just in everyday life, right? You're going into that mind space, and imagination stems from the mind. Connect it with the heart. It needs to be connected with the heart, and go through that space, however that looks. Everybody has their own way of doing it. There's several ways. But at the root of it, really be in that positive heart space when you navigate through, you know,
yeah,
that space.
I totally agree. I was talking with Jeffrey the other day, and we were talking about the fact that the filters are set by what was and what is. And so that's what the mind can feel quite, the filters can feel quite like this because they're experienced and stuff like that. And I guess the connection with enhancing the connection to spirit and also grounding. So I always suggest people ground so they're rooted and also aligned up there, allows that kind of those filters to kind of move to the side a bit. They'd stop them being so limited. And asking the mind, that part of the mind, the subconscious kind of fight or flight part, to step back so everything else can step forward so that you can conceive. But you're right, you have to be so careful and cautious about protection because if you can think about it, it can happen. So it's a frequency that you get into, that you're emitting a message to the universe that basically lives on from the mind. So it's so important that you make sure that your message out there, the frequency you're emitting, is a reflection of what you truly need for your highest good, whether that be good or bad.
100%. 100%. Can you think of anything that you've done over the course of time that has been indicative of something that you thought of, that you either wanted to have and succeeded at, or something perhaps that you thought about and succeeded at it as well, even though it wasn't what you wanted the succession to be?
Oh, that's difficult because I'm trying to think about how to kind of, I mean, I can talk about the fact that well, we were talking before we went live about the house process, like home. We both got that home thing. And the fact that I knew for in my last house, I was very, very ill for a long period of time. And I, so I had that going on. And then when I tried to leave it, it was a very, very complicated, exhaustive, painful experience. And then I found this house, and that has also brought, there's been other things that have come up with that. And so I have in my mind what I want. And apparently, I'm just about going to get there for everything I need in where I live. Like, I want a treatment room, I want this. We've got an Airbnb, like,
Mm-hmm.
so people can come and stay, they can experience my stuff. But through the process of arriving here from what was in my mind to what actually happened in practice has been like a journey through Hades. It's been so awful. And it has invited a different stress response because
Mm-hmm.
I have not been able to just kind of get, I mean, it's just been so stressful, it's been horrendous. So I've had to kind of be like, I'm going to have to change up how I respond to things that really threaten me, because my home is my safe space, it's my sanctuary, it means everything to me. It's like where I go. I'm Cancerian. As a kind of star sign and we love the home. I want to be in my shell and I don't want anyone else in it in the ideal world. Not builders and not people trying to buy my house every 5 minutes and, all that stuff.
Well, it's like
And
me every year and a half wanting to move, having to move because I'm going to sell now. Even after I specified very clearly, I want a long term. I miss owning a house for that reason. But anyways,
yeah, exactly. And I'm so with you 100%. And I just think it's so interesting that the similarity. So that going through all of that, and then when you look back as hindsight, what you do, being able to understand, so with the mind, so I knew I was living this on one level. Then I landed up, when I moved in here, stumbling across a dowsing course by the British Dowsing Association. I did this dowsing course, got to understand about the negative energy lines and positive energy lines that run under houses and what they can mean and how they can attract energy. And then I was like, wow, that must have been why I was so ill in that last house. Because when I think of all the people living around there,
and
a
you
lot
can move those lines too.
exactly, and you can clean them. And I've moved to this house and I've created lines in this house or strengthened them by having this space. And in fact, I did healing work in the last house. So it felt like, because I went through this horrendous buying process where I tried to buy so many houses, this is the seventh house I tried to buy. It felt like the spirit was saying, you're not going to live over here, because it was a different area I was trying to live in. I'd moved my children's school, everything, and I've landed up somewhere totally different that I didn't expect to live. I had to move their school again, my poor children. And yet I feel that it was the land and spirit going, you need to basically be here, not there. And just, I guess and this is what we call this, the difference between faith and surrender. It's like just maintaining the faith that the right thing will always happen, but being active enough in the process to not completely just surrender it entirely and give away all your power. It's the balance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny because there was a mantra that I was given from the other side. I mean, the long and short of it is basically I was what was it I was told now? So I throw open the windows, throw open the windows, and allow the universe to guide me where I need to be, or lead me where I need to go, and know that I will always be taken care of. That's kind of the gist of it. It's a little longer than that, but that's kind of the gist of it. And I was kind of showing the image of somebody. So, for instance, you know how when they say someone stands in front of you and you do these little exercises where they say, okay, just fall, I'll catch you. You have to have that faith, that trust, right? To surrender to
Yeah.
the universe and know that they're there. As long as you're not kicking and screaming and pushing them away, follow through with your intuition and the guidance that you're receiving, right? And that's exactly what it was. And that's what I saw was somebody literally falling and letting somebody catch them, to have that trust and that faith to do that. And that was basically it. Open the doors and the windows and just say, okay, I'm here. Take me where I need to go. I know I'll be taken care of. And that's, something that there's a book that I've written. I haven't published it yet. I'm editing it right now, but it is written. And I've put it in there because I think it's really important. That is a really key component that people miss when it comes to using the mind and the imagination and wanting to manifest and go and do the things they want to do, however that looks, right? Is to realize that you literally have to surrender. Don't no, like I was doing. Like, I was told to move. I would have a period of time in between, and of course I'm kicking and screaming, no, I don't want to do that. I mean, stuff in storage, and and that's exactly what I was doing, right? But it happened anyways. It didn't matter.
That's it. And it's that thing of the fact that it's going to happen anyway. What is for your highest good? So when people are trying to manifest with the mind as well, they think they want something, but actually what they want is not actually going to be for their highest good. So they're not going to get it. So they think that they haven't got what they needed, but actually they got exactly what they needed. And it's just like how you choose
Yeah.
to see that and what you choose to is perception, isn't it? And learn from it and accept it. And that's so I totally agree with you. And I think it's really interesting you used you open the doors and the windows because when I'm describing, this is a bit of a junk, but when I'm describing people using alcohol or substances for mind altering, unless it's in ceremony, I say it's like somebody literally running through you, running through a house and opening all the windows without your permission. It's like,
Oh, that's awesome too. I love it.
yeah. So I'm like, so don't do that. When you drink, put protection around you and don't mess with things you are not doing in ceremony, because if you use them correctly, then you can have an enhancing experience. But when you're just abusing them for the sake of trying to shut your mind off, then it's not really appropriate, and it's an abuse that's dangerous.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, another thing, another way that I tell people to use their mind and imagination, which again goes to the mindfulness piece in terms of going forward to manifest. You know, I kind of use a couple of examples. Say, for instance, someone wants to buy a house, right? But I'm not really in that place financially yet. No, don't think that way. You want to buy a house. That's it. That's all you want. That's what you need. So you see open houses. Go to the open houses. Go and look at these houses and see something that may resonate with you. You know, sit with it. Go in. Feel it. Don't just think it. Use that imagination. Go into that place and really see. Bring it to fruition. Feel it. See and go, oh my God, I want that so bad. People don't get, it'll come. Like you, there, no matter what it is, no matter what position you're in, if you follow that feeling and work that way,
It all
right?
comes, yeah,
Again,
it's the law of attraction, isn't it?
100%. And again, it comes back to the mind. It comes back to the thinking. It comes back to actually using your imagination. You know, use it in those positions and places that you want to get the things that you want or that you need. You know, whatever it is in this lifetime.
That's it. But without the that business of I can't afford or I don't know how that's going to happen, that's the self-limiting belief put on by the previous filters.
That just that turns it upside down, right? And you go into a vibration that is not, that's not the higher vibration that you need to go further, and that's one of the reasons why you go forward. Like I remember a guy saying, you know, oh, I would love to have a Lamborghini, and he made really good money, but I mean, he wasn't necessarily in that bracket. But I said to him, I said, have you taken it for a test drive? He said, oh no, I don't have the. I said, you don't need the money. They don't know you're not going to buy it. Go to the dealership, get the keys in your hand, take that car for a ride. Feel it. Get into that space and imagine, you know, right here. Imagine this is me, this is my car, you know, and do your thing and stay in that space. You know, stay in that vibration that is much higher and you're like, "Oh my god, this is amazing. This is my car, you know, just go there, right?"
Yeah, completely. I think, yeah, but I think also once you start understanding how it all works, your priorities about what you might actually want change as well. Because once you get it, you don't have that, I guess, that desire for really for just wealth assets. It's like wealth means something different, wouldn't you say? It's like once you get it, you just want to help people and be in community and,
Oh,
do
I do it
and
when I have nothing.
be safe. Yeah, it's like be safe. But you're right. It's about getting into the place. It's like me, I want to go on holiday this year. And I want to go somewhere and I know I have a particular holiday in mind. And I always say, oh, I can never afford it. And I never afford it. And I'm just thinking, and I've already been told this and I know I need to do it. I just need to basically book it. And it's like, worry about it later. It's like, book it. The
Just do
money
it.
always turns up. And I know that. I live in that world where I'm like, I'm not going to worry about my work anymore. People find me, they book me when I need it to. Spirit's got my calendar. It's
Well,
fine.
exactly, right? You go, sometimes you go through little periods, and this is what I had to learn, because Spirit had basically told me, you manifest so beautifully and so easily, but the problem is you only manifest what you need. You need to think further into more of
Mm.
an abundance side. So it's like when those bills are coming in, you're like, okay, I need to pay this bill and this. Oh, they always were made. It didn't matter how tight it was. The money came up, but that was it. And I had to keep doing that going forward, right? And that's why I was told you need to go further.
Yeah.
Learn to think on a bigger scale, not on the what you need, right? Same thing, exactly the same thing. And money always doesn't matter how much I'm going, oh my God. And you go into that place every now and then, and it's probably being raised with somebody who was very much that person. My father could have 50,000 in the account, but it was always, no, we don't have any money, right? So
Yeah.
that's how I was raised.
Same.
So
Same.
how do you get
Money
out of
doesn't
that,
grow on
right?
trees. Yeah.
So that's kind of what you're raised with lack. Even though there's no lack, we had a cottage, we had a cabin cruiser, a boat. We used to travel on the water all like 8 years of the 8 months of the year. So it's not like we were living in lack, but we were thinking in lack because that's what was always being told to us. Oh, no, we don't have it. 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 Right? So going forward, I was always manifesting everything I needed, but that's it.
Yeah. I
Right?
think that's
Again,
really, really, really poignant. Really poignant. In fact, I saw someone last night who said that. She said, I always find the money, but I only just find it. And I think it's because she's manifesting what she needs, not what she wants.
exactly. Exactly. And you have to think more on a so that's what I'm now doing. I'm now going into a place of repositioning the thoughts in terms of what I'm thinking as time goes on. And instead of consistently thinking about um, what I need. I still have my moments. I won't say it's gone completely.
We're
At
human.
58 years old, it's a bit of work in progress. It's coming. It's
Yeah.
not 100% there, but it's coming. But yeah, it is one of those things where I'm having moments, and I have times when all of a sudden it's like crazy beautiful. Clients, and I'm going, oh my God, this is so amazing. And but then you're thinking, so when it actually happens, staying in that vibration, Claire, is one of those things where you kind of just go, yeah, okay, okay, right, and you've got to somewhat be cognizant not to backpedal because sometimes we go through those lulls, right? There's still those, and then sometimes I've got to catch myself because you kind of go, oh no,
That's
okay, we're
it.
not doing this
You
again.
catch yourself because spirit is giving you a break. And it's like it needs to be the
Exactly.
way it needs to be, but you can get really fearful because you're suddenly thinking, what's happening?
Well, you go into
And
lock again.
yes. And so, how to stay in trust and faith that basically spirit's got your back, everything's working out the way it's supposed to, and it's all going to be fine. Yeah, it's a hard frequency to maintain because it's not what we're taught. It's not the world we've been living in at all. It's the world we're choosing to live in now.
Well, and I mean, look at the way things are right now. It can be even more challenging when you see what you're faced with and what's going on. I mean, um, I'm forever grateful, and I have a community page in my hometown. We have my hometown and a town right next to it that are considered, they're kind of, they've amalgamated as one name, right? There's still two separate names of the two towns, but they're amalgamated to one
Ooh,
name. So um, so kind of long and short of it is that we've had this community page for we originally did it to help businesses for free referrals and people to sell used products and help out in community whatever. So every year we've done both. We haven't the last 2 years because I'm not living in town now, but we did homeless runs. We'd spend 3 months collecting everything and anything for the winter to keep them warm and walk the streets of Toronto and hand out stuff, and then the last several years there's been families that just fell on hard times, and of course this year thankfully we had a different social media groups. There was one, the dads group in town. I couldn't believe it, Claire, the amount of stuff we've been able to raise, the gifts for the children. We had a family of 6, a family of 7. Both fathers have got either cancer to in chemotherapy, brain tumor. It's been horrible, and they're the sole providers, and they're going down with bills and everything because they have businesses with loans and everything else, and they're like thousands of dollars behind just in NSF charges. And here they have all these children with Christmas coming. It's been absolutely beautiful, um, that every year, and I think not only is it community, we set the intention before we even put together everything. to put out onto our pages. We have upwards to 40,000 people on these two groups over the last decade. And we've been able to raise not only gifts for every child, including a few single parents and their children, and literally there's an abundance this year, which we knew it was, which is why we asked whoever else can come on board to help us, please do, because
Yeah,
it's, and we've been able to raise just with one group $6,000. And that's not including the gift cards for groceries and the gifts. That
amazing.
was that was actual cash,
That's
you know.
amazing.
But I believe when my friend Kate and I, when we set forth to do this and set it all up to get the posts created, to put them out, create the wish lists, right? For everything, for each child, the ages, because I mean, you can't just do it randomly when there's this many children. Like we've now gotten gifts for 20 children from all different families, give or take, right? So I believe, again, through the mind and through really feeling this is what we need to accomplish. I can't imagine a child waking up and not knowing that Santa has been there for those that believe in Santa Claus. Like it just, and nothing being there, they need something, like it just, my heart just absolutely breaks. And we were able to do it. And again, it's through, again, I fully believe making those wish lists for the 8-year old, the 12-year old, the 3-year old, the 4-year old, the 5-year old, male, female, whatever, and the things that we ask the parents, you need to send this information to us. We break it down, and then we put it out there for people, and people pick what they can donate, and they go in, they either buy the gift and send money and gift cards or whatever. So, again, using the imagination wisely.
And the universe loves detail. That's the other thing. So when you're asking for something, you have to be really, with the mind, very,
Yep.
very specific about what
Specific but
you
short.
want. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And all
Specific
in
but short.
positive language, no negatives. I don't
Yeah.
want. The universe just hears want.
Yeah, and this is what when I do different types of ceremonies and different types of work with clients, I always make it very clear when they set their intention, because it's very important to have that intention prior to going into the, whether it be the medicine ceremony, a shamanic and energetic, whatever it is that you're doing, and you set the intention of what you'd like to see happen. As same thing, be very specific, but be short and sweet, and don't encompass two or three or four things, because then they're kind of going,
Well, I know which one.
okay, I'll go with
Yeah,
this one.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and you may not get what you want. So
But
do
you'll
another
get what you
ceremony.
need. You get
Huh?
what you need. But you'll always get what you need.
You do, but what you're intending may not happen the way you want it to, because you've not been clear, because you've muddled it up with three or four different things you want. I want this and this and this and this when we do this, and it's like you can do that, but there's no guarantee. Your best bet is to pick what is most important and encompass it into a word. Don't come out with all these different things. Try and narrow it down to something simple and clear. When you do it simple and clear, right,
Done.
then that's the thing they go for. There's no having to pick which item, right?
That's beautiful.
It is. So how are we doing here?
I think we've covered the imagination, is what I
I
think.
think so. Without rambling on, we probably could, but I think so. And for those of you that have joined us, nobody's really wanted to say much or whatnot, and that's fine too. Hopefully that we've been able to kind of give some little nuggets to people going forward, that things to think about, because there's some of these little things that we talk about come out, and you kind of go, oh, even with doing what we do, hey Claire, it doesn't matter. Somebody else comes out and says something, and you go, oh my God, aha.
Eureka. I completely 100% concur. Or remind yourself of something you'd already promised yourself to do and haven't done yet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so amazing that way, right? This is why these type of discussions, this is why we have them. They can be interactive, and if you choose just to participate and be here, or to just watch it afterwards, that's okay too. You know, you're guided to go there for a reason, and take what you will from it. Definitely.
Completely. And I guess we're available to answer any questions. If anything we've said you'd like further clarification on at a later date, just post it in the comments and we'll respond.
Most definitely, you can reach out to us, and you can private message. Although Claire, we can't private message Claire right now. We have to figure that out. Maybe talk to Beth,
I will.
and
Yeah,
she can maybe help you out to clarify what's going on. That aspect, the co-host and the other is kind of shut down. But yeah, so but you and I need to talk again soon. It'd be
we
awesome.
will. Yeah, well, we're
Have a
going
little
to
chit
chat again
chat.
in January.
Yes, yes, and maybe somewhere in between or afterwards when things slow down just a tad, and
Yeah,
busy time, not even just with Christmas. Spiritually, I think for a lot of us, there's been a lot going on, so it's busy, busy.
intense, intense.
Has been
Brilliant.
so awesome. All right, lots of love, and
And to you too, and a pleasure speaking to you.
yes, and you too. And we shall definitely chat soon. Thank you to everybody who watches or has watched this or will watch this. And reach out to us with any questions or any comments. Or if you have another discussion that's made you think through the course of this one, if there's something that makes you think about something else that you would like discussed in a future situation with Claire and I, or Claire and Beth, or we're dividing up into pairs, and alternating in order to kind of change things up a little. So please put it out there. We would love to know what you want to talk about.
Definitely.
Lots of love to everybody, and well, I'll see you on the flip side.